Hi everybody, welcome back to the Adview at Revival podcast, where we're bringing you all things Iris. Today we're going to be talking about the feature film Tomorrow's Too Late, which we will now see some clips from the Q&A of.
As a queer person, I wonder if many of you have ever done this, but you question a lot about who you are, how you are, why you are, and you look for anyone that looks like you, sounds like you, represents you, and we do a lot of Googling and researching to find that out. Growing up in a small town in Cornwall, I just didn't see anyone who resembled remotely who I was. And I spent a lot of time looking for that. Fortunately, there were people out there online on Google who had transitioned, but no one had been through the journey I had with the voice and with the music and with knowing how it was going to impact that micro and then macro level of what it would really do to a singer's voice. I was like, I need to go through this journey for the obvious reasons you saw in the film today. But then I was like, maybe there's more we can do in that journey. And I remember being stood by my toaster, put the toast down, and I was like, we have to document it. I've got a best friend that makes films. I'm gonna call her now. I called her, the toast popped up, I was like, I've got an idea, light bulb. And it basically it stemmed from that. We wanted just to maybe just find out what was going to happen because we didn't know. So the whole documentary was a story of the carpet unfolding in front of us.
We went to Fayetteville, Arkansas, where we won there as well, but that was a very specific choice. And as you probably know, Arkansas is a red state and Fayetteville is a blue dot. We had an incredible experience where Dylan met a young trans boy, and he had recently just been taken out of school from being bullied and is now being homeschooled. And he came to the screening and at first painfully shy, didn't really know what to do, wanted his mum to speak on his behalf, then watched the film, and we watched that relationship as they watched the film, and they were crying, which, good tears. And then afterwards, Dylan was on the red carpet, he got ushered in, and then just threw his arms around Dylan, gave him the biggest, strongest hug of your life, to the point where the mum was like, what did he say? Go on.
Well, don't kill him.
Let's do it again. So that was a really special time because Dylan and I didn't really have a moment to just kind of reflect on everything.
For anyone who is starting a journey of transitioning, I would say please look at yourself with as much kindness as you can. And when you're doing that, try and look past the body, speak to your soul, because regardless of your body, the soul inside you is fucking beautiful. So when you're communicating with yourself, when you're traveling on the journey, when there are highs, when there are lows, when a doctor doesn't get back to you, or when you think you're not going to get the right medication, when you speak to yourself, do it with kindness. Speak past your skin and your bones, just go straight to that soul and be gentle.
That was a really great Q&A with Dylan afterwards. It was a really fantastic, touching film. But talking about Tomorrow's Too Late with me today is Jess. How are you, Jess?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. So Tomorrow's Too Late was a documentary-style film that was about this musician, Dylan Holloway, going through their journey of transitioning while also being a public face, having a public image, which is really interesting. But you knew about Dylan for a few years, didn't you?
Yeah, so my mum knew Dylan when they were lots Holloway, and been listening to their music since I was a little kid, and then sort of moved away from them, and then Dylan popped up on social media.
That's okay.
So sorry. Dylan popped up on social media a year ago, I think.
Okay.
And I was like, they seem familiar. And so I did a bit of research and I realised that they were Lots Holloway. And so I was like, amazing. So I started listening to their music again, and I fell in love with it again. So I was really starstruck last night when I saw Dylan in person.
That's
I was so starstruck because they were right in front of me, and I was just like, hi. And I couldn't get any more words out. I was just so starstruck.
That's great. That's really great. That's really exciting as well, because I didn't know who he was before this, but it was a really fascinating journey and really emotional. It took you with him. It was a very personal, it wasn't a shiny, polished documentary. They were talking about in the Q&A that there was a point where the director joined them and it felt more polished after that. And there is a point where you can notice, but it still didn't lose that personable feel to it. And I think that was really important. What would you say stuck out to you about the film?
Like you said, just how messy it was at times. How you could really feel the struggle that Dylan went through. Sorry.
That's okay.
Coming back from illness. The struggle that Dylan went through, just with the whole transition and everything, just how they were feeling, how they documented all of it. They didn't leave out any really tough details. They left it all in and saw the struggle so that anyone transitioning could see how difficult it could get. And just, it showed them everything. It was like bare bones, all in. This is what it's like to transition. This is how tough it's going to get. And I think it's so beautiful to see that.
Yeah.
Because you don't see much of that.
No.
You see a before, you see an after, you don't see in between.
Yeah. Definitely. That was a really important part of it. And in the Q&A, Dylan said, like, what he wanted was to, specifically because he was a musician, he didn't know what testosterone was going to do to his voice. And he didn't want to lose it because music was his life. So he really wanted to be representation of what can happen and to keep going with it, even if you feel like it's going to drastically change who you are. And I really, really appreciated that about the film. One of the things that I really liked about it was that even though Dylan was a very popular person, most of the story was about what it was like personally for him. It wasn't even really about like there was stuff that was about like, oh, how difficult it is to have a public image and come out and how like tricky that can be. But then most of it was about how tricky it was internally for him and like accepting who he was becoming. Yeah,
I found it really beautiful. And we were just talking about COVID and how it was like a blank slate for Dylan, COVID.
Yeah.
To just sort of like wipe it clean, find a new identity. And for me, COVID was a really tough time. I struggled really badly during COVID. I did not do well. But it was so amazing to see that someone did actually do really well during COVID and actually found themselves better during COVID. It was really amazing to see that side of it coming from someone who really struggled during COVID. It was really lovely.
It was just reassuring to see that. Yeah, it was really, a really nice thing for him. I also really appreciated near the end of the film where he goes on this, there's definitely a journey throughout, like, and not even just a journey of the actual transition, but a journey of self-acceptance. But I enjoyed that you got to see him go through rejecting his old self in everything and not wanting to be a part of that. Because doing this documentary is very exposing because he had to start it with being like, this is who I used to be. This is the old version of me. And so you can see him go through the journey of being more comfortable with that by the end, where he even starts to do duets with his old female sounding voice. Like, it was incredible. Just an incredible journey to see.
I really loved it because, like I said, I grew up with Lots Holloway quite a bit. They were just there. They were quite a prominent part of my childhood. And so to then have Dylan incorporate that in his work now is so beautiful to see, because it's like he's grown and now I've grown as well, and I'm still getting that bit of my childhood listening to that music with my mum, doing the dishes like in the car, and now listening to Dylan incorporate that into his work. It's so beautiful. It's just really such a beautiful thing.
It really is. Yeah, I thought it was just a fantastic film that really beautiful. I know that many of us were crying after watching. But yeah, such a special, touching film, especially for like young trans people out there and being scared about transitioning and what it's going to do to change them. And then again with music as well, changing how he performs and how he sings and what he sounds like. It was very interesting to learn what that was like. But
but also just the use of him not moving on in his music, still going back and recreating his music, redoing it with his new voice, not just going, I'm going to leave that. That's not me anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. And just making more music. He went back and redid it. It was so beautiful. Yeah. It was lovely.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. But I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. And thank you so much for chatting to me about it.
Thank you so much.
It was a really great time. But yeah, now we're going to see an interview with the producer of the film, April Kelly.
My name is April Kelly and I'm producer of Tomorrow's Too Late and Plain Clothes. So Dylan and I, we've known each other since 2018 and we've collaborated from the very first moment that we met each other. This particular project, he as he always says, he was making toast, and he was like, I want to document this, and he called me, and I was like, hell yeah. Off I went to Cornwall, and we spent a week together, cried a lot, spoke a lot, spent time with his family, and it really, for 2 to 3 years, it was just me, him, and 2 cameras, and it was an honor and a privilege to just be by his side, and really just by his side. I would hear him out and be a shoulder to cry on, but I just got to witness this gorgeous man inside and out just blossom into the man he is now. And what was quite extraordinary is the initial interviews. You can see how shy and apprehensive he was about everything, and then by the end of it, just shining bright.
That was a really great interview with April Kelly. And she also done another one of the Iris Prize films, Plainclothes, which is out on Saturday, which is fantastic. So definitely go see that if you really enjoyed her. And thank you so much for watching this episode of the Advocate Revival podcast, which is brought to you by the Performance and Media students here at the University of South Wales in association with the Iris Prize Film Festival.